Okay, hello there. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Be More podcast. I am Brittany.
I'm Maria, and today we have a guest, and Brittany's gonna roast me again because I'm always so awkward when we have guests on this show. So, Brittany, if you want to introduce our
Yeah,
guest today, that'd be
yeah. Well,
great.
I'm gonna let her introduce herself. But I am super excited that you're here. I'll kind of like give a little segue of how we know each other. You actually have a dance teacher who's a very good friend of mine, and that is how we met. And we're actually going to be going to celebrate her wedding in a couple of weeks, so I'll get to see you in person, which will be nice. But yeah, so this is Marinella, and Marinella, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us like what you're. I know that I wanted to bring you on here because I think that you are a wonderful advocate for everyone who's your age and even people who are older than you, to really speak the truth and speak up more about mental health. So tell us a little bit about yourself and whatever you are open to sharing about your journey and why you kind of started the project that you're doing right now on social media.
I've been through like a lot of challenges in my home life. Um, my dad is a single parent. My parents are divorced. And while going through a lot of that, I went through a really tough time that landed multiple therapy groups and like a mental hospital and those kind of things because I was really struggling. Um, while I was in therapy, I was thinking and I was like, oh, what if I hold this event like that can, I guess, hopefully inspire people to keep going and keep moving forward, even when they feel really down and they feel like nothing can go right. So at first, it was just like something that I said that was sort of like a stupid kind of idea. And then we actually started to make like a website and I made an Instagram account and we've been helping people around the world, which is really nice. And yeah.
Wait, okay, so I have a couple of questions. Your audio cut off
So
at the
you,
beginning, but you said you're 13, right?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I can't. Like me at 13, Brittany, can you imagine us at 13 doing all this?
no, this is why I wanted to bring Marinella on here to show what a 13-year-old, the amazing things that 13-year-olds are capable of, because it took Maria and I a much longer time to kind of even know where we were going.
That's honestly incredible. So you started a website, like kind of like a support website and stuff? Is that what your
Yeah.
project is about? Yeah.
And then I've held like, I did like a lot of research on different like mental health disorders and like different ways to, I guess, overcome that. And I, I, I wanted to project a lot of the things that I was told when I was going through a really hard time. That really helped me. I uh, was saved by a 12-year-old who was like my best friend at the time. And she was going through some mental health stuff too. And it really inspired me and made me realize that regardless of any age, you can still save someone and still be there for someone.
I'm like speechless.
I know,
It's
right?
so
It's
inspiring.
so funny. It's so funny when Marinella and I first met. We met because, well, Maria, you know Shannon, like, and so like you know my friend Shannon. We met through my friend Shannon,
Mm-hmm.
and when I first met Marin, I mean, you were even younger, right? You were like 10, 11, I think, the first time that I met you. I don't even know how old you are. But you were just, there was so much there, and you just wanted so, like, you could already tell how much you wanted to be able to help people. And even through, like, I didn't know a lot about what was going on at home for you until you, like, a couple of years later. And you always just wanted everybody to be happy. You always just wanted to be happy. And it's hard to, and like I can say this personally, I know Maria can talk about it as well. When you're somebody who's struggling with a lot that's going on in your head, it can be really hard to kind of come across as happy and not be like forcing it, or trying to still care about the way that you are impacting others and wanting other people to feel important. You just had this like special light about you that was just so obvious. So I'm so happy that you've been able to overcome, and you're still you still believe in the importance of overcoming and like the journey of developing yourself. And you were able to figure that out so young, and that you can help other people do that right now. Because you're right, age, it really is only a number.
Mhm.
And I mean, like from my perspective, and I'm sure Maria can talk to this too, we know people who are like generations ahead of us who still haven't addressed the things that we've had to address, or aren't willing to go through the journey of facing the things that can be really scary and uncomfortable, or who aren't in a place where they even know how to acknowledge those things, right? Until they overwhelm them. And being able to kind of come out on the forefront of that for your generation in the front lines, to be willing to say, like, hey, this isn't fun, and I've experienced it, and I know it's scary and it's uncomfortable, and you're putting yourself in a really beautifully vulnerable place to help other people, realize, we can't ignore this. It's a part of the human condition, right? It's a part of what we experience as people. We all have to go through difficult things, but the more we can talk about what that's like, the more we can be here for one another when it happens, and the better off we'll be because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that having that realization and wanting to help people, that's beautiful. And I'm so happy that you had a friend who was able to be there for you for that, so that you could overcome and that you could start sharing this message with other people and be that light for somebody else.
I really cannot imagine not even like going through things at like that age, that young, but also going through like puberty and like school and like all that stuff. So how did you do, like, honestly, my question is like, how did you do this? Like, I'm just so fascinated. It's just so fascinating to me.
So I was pulled out of school, and like at the outpatient therapy place that I was at, we still like did school work, but it wasn't as much of a heavy load. So it like, I guess that kind of stress wasn't really there too much. And honestly, like I had my sister and my dad who helped me through it, and I had some friends that still stayed with me, even though at times I was really down and pretty negative and probably not like the ideal friend. But I had those people which really helped me, and yeah, having like the right support system is really important. I think like for me, able to talk to people about how I was feeling and like getting stressed over everything that's happening, I had people that helped me realize that like life's really short and we can't dwell on the things that we can't change.
Oh my god, I wish I had your knowledge at that age. I'm just so
It's a
baffled.
beautiful, like it's a beautiful thing, like to hear you speak so eloquently about these these understandings, because especially for like Marie and I had a lot of conversations about growing up, like being 13, 14, being a teenager right now, and we were like, we don't think we'd be able to do it, especially knowing the things that we knew that we were going through that we weren't even aware of at that time. We have such a strong like toolkit to be able to support you. And I love what you said. I mean, I've met your sister. She has an awesome sister who's just as like sweet as she is. And I know that you're really close with your father, and it's great that you have that within your family, that you have people that you can talk to. And you are going to learn, and it's almost great that you've learned the lesson the way that you did, in a really being able to take care of yourself and understanding how important it is to do that first when it comes to your like friend groups. And there are going to be people who don't understand, and there are going to be people who do understand. And the people who don't understand, I don't think it's, and maybe like you've seen this too, and both of you I'm sure have seen this, like the friends who don't understand, it's not because they think any less of you, or they don't want to be connected to you, or they're rejecting you. It's just because they either haven't been able to face it themselves, or they just don't know what they don't know, right? Or they were taught that not to deal with it. I know I had friends growing up when I started facing things, and family members too, who would tell me that like if I had any issues with my mental health, that I was crazy. Like that was like the trigger word. Like I couldn't have conversations with people about wellness in that regard, because if you had to go to therapy or if you needed support, like you that was just it. That was the way that it was defined as crazy, which we know is not the truth, right? But it's really hard when you have people that you think are your support system that you can go to say something like that to you, or to be so distant from wanting to really understand what you're going through. And having a support system is so important. So it's great that you were able to have that. Maria and I were each other's support systems even when we didn't realize it when we were so young, because we couldn't outright openly talk about.
We didn't have the vocabulary.
We didn't really realize, I don't think. Yeah, we didn't realize the things that we were experiencing were related to mental health issues. Like we had no capacity to understand that. Yeah. So when everyone else, we had like all of the friends that between the two of us, friends that we had that we weren't even friends with together, like we always had conversations with each other about the stuff that felt weird or felt uncomfortable, because that was what felt comfortable. Like we got it. Like each one of us understood where the other person was coming from. So having that in a family member or in a friend that you can really communicate with is going to be one of the most beneficial things going forward. And I know that like the programs that you're working on, you're trying to like build community so people have other people to talk to. Am I right? Is that like, yeah, that's amazing.
What is the name of the project?
The website is mentalstruggles.com.
Where did you come up with like your name for everything, and what kind of like, how did you kind of bring this whole idea? I know you said it, all good things start off as like ideas that you just say. Marie, this is how our podcast started. Marie and I like years ago used to say how we were going to do this, and it was just an idea that popped into our head, and it took some time to put it to action. But how did you really make it come to life?
I think that a lot of people, like when I would tell people about it, actually, it was sort of like some people would be like, oh, like, well, you can't really help people at that age and that kind of thing. And so part of me, I think, wanted to prove them wrong. So I continued in trying to prove that like at any age you can help people. But I also had a few people that were really inspired with what I wanted to do and helped me build that. So we like went to town hall and we talked about having an event in the park and that kind of thing. And I got my dad around to like actually believing that it wasn't just I guess wish or this like dream, I guess, that I sort of had, and that it could actually come true. So he was a big part in making that happen. And yeah.
Again, age is just a number. I think it's just like a generational thing, like the older generations and even like the millennials. I feel like if we see someone younger than us do things that are extraordinary, we're just like, they're too young. They don't know what they're doing. But I mean, that shouldn't stop you from doing it.
And that's obviously not the case. Right.
Obviously.
Like, being able to go, I love that you said you wanted to prove them wrong, right? Like that's having a great cause to work for, and then wanting to like serve the greater good, to be able to say like, there's a wall here, and for the sake of other people's like lives, right? For the sake of other people's wellness, I'm gonna knock that wall down. I remember when I first saw, like, I think that you had requested to follow me on social media with your mental struggles account, and I was very confused about it. So when I followed it and I saw it was you, I was like, wait a second. I was like, wait, I gotta get this clear. Like she has this whole thing that she's working on, which is why I had to ask you about it. I got super excited and started messaging you. But I think that it's such a valiant cause to want to work towards. So tell me, I have like a bunch of not related questions to ask you. What are you experiencing, or if you're like when people are coming to you and they're feeling inspired by things, what are some things that people are telling you? Like, are people coming to you that are your age? Are people coming to you that are older or younger? Like, what are the major populations that you feel like you're able to serve in what you're doing?
So I've had people like I've had some parents of kids that I knew like reach out to me and say like, thank you, you really helped me like realize this kind of thing. But when it comes to actually helping people with like what they're going through, most of them are my age. So I've helped kids at my school, and recently a girl in New Zealand actually found my account and reached out to me. It's mostly like kids my age, I guess, especially when it's really hard at this age to say that you're struggling with something without being seen as like just being dramatic or wanting it for the attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that a lot of people turn to this project and like turn to the account as like a place that they can actually be validated on how they are feeling, because I know that for me that was the hardest thing, not like getting enough validation or not getting any validation at all. So yeah.
That is that is something that I feel like is just relevant for mental health in general. And that's something that Marie and I have spoken about before too. But everything that you're saying, I can relate to when I first started realizing things myself when I was your age and not being sure like who to talk to about it, right? Because then like how was I couldn't make any major decisions on my own. Other people had to make really like the definitive decisions for me. But that's like one of the beautiful ways that you can utilize, like you have social media that we didn't have when we were your age. I think we had just had MySpace, right? It was like the dawn of MySpace. Do you know what MySpace is, Marianella? Have you ever heard of MySpace?
I figured you were gonna. Yeah, she was gonna say no, and now I feel old.
Right. It was like the really original, really poorly functioning Facebook before Facebook came around.
Can I say something about MySpace though? Because that added to our mental illness. Because the way that MySpace
well, that's
worked,
another thing too.
Well, the way that MySpace worked in early social media work was that you had your top 8 friends that you viewed on your profile, and like being on people's top 8 aided to everyone's like mental health, like, or that was awful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh God. Yep. And all the fights that broke out because of it. But the fact that people have social media as a resource to be able to find you, because I'm sure like even this is the influence that social media can have on a person is not defined by age any way, shape, or form, right? Like I can still go on social media and feel something not true about myself, right? Based on those things that I still have to deal with every day in my head because of what I see. So and I'm sure like that's happening to everybody. So having someplace that someone can turn to on social media where they know that they're going to get support from somebody who's their age, who's going through the same thing, is such a beautiful thing. And it's so, for all of the things that Marie and I talk about social media and technology, or specifically me, I talk about social media and technology and all of the ways that I think it's taking out humanity and the ways that I think it's ending humanity, but you're finding a really good way to make it a powerful resource that's going to do something positive for people. And that's amazing. So let me ask you this question. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions because I like to get like information. How do you feel about social media?
Makes me sort of want to delete my main account, I guess, like the one that's for me, that's not like related to the health one, especially with everything like going on nowadays with like politics and that kind of thing. A lot of people are getting upset and are becoming very like entitled to their opinions and won't accept like when other people have different ones. And like as a kid, it's sort of hard because we only know so much about life and we only know as much as we hear or we see and stuff. So in some ways I think that it can be very impactful in a negative way. Like if you say something that people don't necessarily agree about, then you can have a lot of people like coming at you for just feeling the way that you do. Sometimes I don't like social media because I can find out when like a lot of people are hanging out without me, and like I think that I think that like the reason that I stay on is because sometimes it's a reminder that like I'm not alone, because there are so many people that like I have to turn to, especially if I don't have their phone number. And also I like whenever I'm not feeling good about myself, I know that I can always like turn to um, friends that I have for like posts that I put up like earlier, and see that like people do appreciate me for me, especially when I don't feel like that's true. So social media has been a place that allows me to gain more belief in that, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah, Maria. Yes. So let me tell you, I think that honestly, the one of the biggest reasons that I remember being a teenager and not liking social media was exactly what you said. You get major like FOMO.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still a thing I could say,
Yeah.
but you get like a major fear of missing out on stuff, right? Because you see what other people are doing and you're like, hey, why am I not there? I remember getting that feeling all the time. I remember that feeling like way too fondly. But that's like one of the hard things about it, right? And you start to see like what's going on in other people's lives, and you start making comparisons, and it's an unfortunate like platform where that starts to happen. But everything that you said in like the latter portion is so true about why we need it and the ways that we really have control over how we see it and how we utilize it. So if you're able to see it as connecting to, and that's how I use it too, honestly, because I have those days where if I'm not having a good day and I go on social media and I see certain things, I don't feel good about myself. It doesn't help me. It just kind of helps me go down further into that hole. But if I have people that I know I can connect to, or I know that I can get like a positive response from like people who relate or people who understand what I'm going through, that changes how I'm feeling. It reminds you, like you said, that you're not alone. And I think that's the social media right now is super different. It's different than it used to be. And I think it's for the way that it used to be, not to say it's not like this anymore, but social media only used to only be good things always. Like you would never see anything about mental health on there. Like you always saw pictures of like posing a specific way and like everything had to be pretty and beautiful and perfect. And the great thing now, and I think that creates an awesome opportunity for what you're doing with your project, is that social media, people don't just want that anymore. People want reality. People want to feel connected in more of a deeper way and less of a superficial way. And it creates space for like people who do have mental struggles that they're going through to be seen and be heard. And like you said, really, really be seen for what they are and not the person that like they need to be somebody else. And being able to share those stories and connect to each other, because at the end of the day, having mental struggles is a part of living in our society. Our society sets us up for it, unfortunately, with the level of stress we put on ourselves. And I know, like you said, like right now you're seeing it with school, and you see it with like being social and like being home from COVID, like all of these crazy things that you guys have to go through. When we put on these like superficial photos or like these superficial, hey, look what I'm doing, it actually stops us from being able to connect and creates this like really unfortunate negative level of comparison that doesn't put us in a good place. So I mean, I would tell you, if you feel better like having your mental struggle account only,
go
do
for
that.
it.
I stopped having like my personal account is only about like positive self-development now. It's not just about like posting the good things of my life. It's about all of the things that I know I need to help me feel better about being on social media. But it allows me to create a community where I connect to other people who are going through the same thing. And that just makes it a better experience. So whatever helps you have a better experience, that's what matters in any way, shape, or form. Like I'm totally speaking for myself here, but Maria, you're welcome to join in. I tell you this all the time, Marinella. If there's anything that can be done to help you with what you're doing with your project, like do not hesitate, because personally speaking, if I would have been able to have the understanding of what was happening in my head when I was 13, 14, it would have changed a lot. It would have helped me a lot. Now, granted, I can't go back and I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't go through the things that I went through. But in terms of what, like the bigger picture of what we're talking about, I know that like this kind of work, this kind of open communication is going to save people's lives.
Especially in that age group too, especially with like
Yeah.
being in your age in this day and time, like everything is so transparent with social media that people that like 13-year-olds that have mental health issues feel like they it's not real with all this shit that goes on in social media. Like you should be happy, but if you're not, then you're faking it. So like having an outlet, on your Instagram and like on your website, that helps people say like, oh, like this is real. Like I'm not faking it for, any sort of reason. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to have to figure out for yourself.
Yeah.
What am I really feeling and what are other people saying I'm feeling? Does that make sense? Like what other people like will push onto you to say like, oh, you're feeling this way because of this, or you're feeling this way because of this. And then you have to really be able to step back and be like, wait, no, right? And like taking ownership of what those feelings like really are. And these are things that like I still do to this day, like having to really decide yourself and figure that out. And the better relationship you have with yourself, the easier it is to go through that process and keep yourself like sane, because the who needs any more voices in their head.
Dude, agreed, honestly.
But this is amazing. Okay, so tell us, I'm very curious to know what your perspective is on what you're experiencing with school right now. So are you home? Are you doing school virtually?
We're all in person, but it's very different though, like in person, because you like have to wear a mask and you can't really communicate with everyone like the way that you used to, and it's hard to like and play like as many sports as you could usually, like because a lot of them are close in contact, that kind of thing, and it's taken away like a lot of communication and like relationships, I think, from at least like how I feel, but also in an opposite way, it's sometimes a relief for me when I have like social anxiety. I'll remember that like I don't have to like go up and see everyone. I don't have to say something really stupid because I'm wearing a mask that stops me from like blurting out something or something like that. Those kinds of things, because
I've never heard you say anything stupid, just so you know that.
I a lot of stupid things that the thing is like as a kid especially, like I say a lot of things that I don't think are stupid, or like I understand it in the way that I view it, and then people take it different ways, and then it like starts a whole big thing, and then it's like, well, I wasn't trying to like say that, like I was just trying to say this and that kind of thing. So a lot of things that I say, they may not seem stupid, but to other people apparently they're really stupid.
Life is all perception. Those other people,
yeah, for real. That was one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn, is that I'm not responsible for the way other people interpret what I say.
Correct. It's a hard lesson.
And it's a hard lesson. And let me tell you, when I was your age, the things that came out of my mouth had a lot more like were rougher around the outside. Maria can tell you.
Yeah.
Like I said things that were true and were my opinion, but they were super blunt and they were razor sharp. And I had to learn how to soften out those edges. Yeah. But
that's just growing up though. I feel like any of us
are, and you are like, so not, you're like, nothing that you could say would be stupid. It's just what you said. It's like people have different perspectives and different experiences that make them think a certain way, and they're not going to think like you, but that's brilliant, because they're also not going to be you, and they're not going to make the product that you've made. They're not going to have the impact that you've had. So at the end of the day, and Maria knows this too, there are days where like words don't come out of my mouth in full sentences, or like full words don't come out of my mouth correctly, but like that's fine.
Yeah,
you know, it's fine. That makes you who you are, and that's totally the part of just being human. But everything, that the intention that comes behind what you're doing is always going to be more powerful. And that is something that, like I said in the beginning of like this conversation, that is something that was so clear that like emanates from you about like your intention to be kind and your intention to want to help people. And that's all that matters. So when someone like responds to you and thinks that what you're saying is stupid, whatever, they don't know.
And like being kind through trauma, like after trauma, is such the harder road to take too. So the fact that you're so young and you took that road as opposed to being angry at the world and like not having a positive,
which is what Maria and I both did.
we're just like outing ourselves. We're just angry at the world until like we had those difficult conversations with ourselves and then started to become now kinder and not, mean. So, better late than never, Brittany.
I mean, yep. We're proud of you. That was really why I wanted to bring you on here, because I wanted everybody to know how awesome you are. And I wanted to be able to tell you that we're proud of you. I wanted Maria to get to know you. And I wanted you to be able to like, hopefully get to talk to more people. Like the more that you get to talk about what you're doing, the more people will see that you're there to help them. And then the more impact you can make.
Yeah.
Is there any other, I know things are difficult with COVID right now, but are there any other like in-person projects or anything that you guys are working on, like a webinar or anything that you're trying to build out right now that we can communicate to people?
Not really. We're trying to expand in like the project and like I guess like get everyone to know that that it's like that it's not just some like I guess hobby kind of thing, and it's not just something that I want to do because I want like praise for it and that kind of thing. So like we're working, I don't know, like right now we're working on in the spring because we're gonna have an event. We've been planning like details and that kind of thing. But like with everything right now, since we can't really see people and like talk to people and have the same relationship as like you can, I've been holding a lot of like live videos and answering any questions. So like, I don't know, I'm here for anyone if they need it. Sorry if I didn't like really answer your question.
You're good.
That's okay.
I feel like
that things are very complicated because of COVID.
I feel like half the time Brittany asks a question, I feel like half my answers are not the answers to like her specific question anyway. So
it's totally fine. I like you're just digging into all of my inquiries anyway, so it's not a problem. But I know I was gonna bring up because I know that you do like you're very consistent on doing lives on your Instagram. So and you kind of answered this question, but people like will reach out to you and ask you questions about something, and then you'll answer them through a live.
Yeah.
Again, that's another thing that just like that takes so much courage. I can't even get on live sometimes. Even just doing this, Maria and I
doing this every week, I'm just like, this is terrifying.
Like Maria and I might not have people who are like in your generation who listen to this podcast, but we know tons of parents and we know tons of people who are around. Like Maria's got a sister who's like, well, she's a little bit older than me, but still, like all of any adults is always going to be somebody who is connected in some way, shape, or form to someone who's a teenager who's dealing with things. So this is, if you listen to this podcast or you're a subscriber to our podcast and you know that you just want to be better equipped to be able to support a teenager in your life, or you know somebody who could be supported by the Mental Struggles Project, definitely look into it. The more we can help people, the more that they can stay here and we can move on together and see what's on the other end of the poop storm that we've been living in 2020.
Forget it. I want this pandemic to end.
Same.
Yeah, we're so over it. And this is the life has to be so weird to be like being an adult is weird, but I mean
growing up in it,
this is the first thing. Like we grew up, Maria and I were, I don't know, what were we in third grade when 9/11 happened, right?
Yeah.
So like this is to be the first major, is this like the first major like worldly thing that you've seen or that like you remember? Yeah, like this, like that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And like, I mean, how old were we? Third grade. So 10, 9, 10?
It was right before we moved. We were like 7 or 8.
can't
Well,
be 8.
I was 9 when we moved in. That was 4th grade.
Oh,
I was a baby though.
really?
I'm younger than everybody else.
You're only a month
Yeah.
younger than me though, so maybe it's like 8, 9, but still.
Yeah. Way
yeah,
younger.
13,
Like that was craziness.
and 13
This is
going
so,
through
yeah,
this.
this is so, well, you're handling it very well.
Absolutely.
Again, better than Maria and
God.
I.
Oh my gosh, I don't even
That's
know
like
what
the
we would have
summary of all of
done.
these things.
I don't know what we have done if we were that age during this time. I
would have
honestly,
camped out outside of your house. That's what I
yeah,
would have done. Maria and I lived across the street from one another growing up, to give you a sense of what the heck is happening here. She was like my best friend neighbor across the street, and we always were together, like on like random times of the day, having conversations just like this, and not even knowing what we were talking about. Like talking about things that were bothering us or things that were intense, or like trying to just help each other like step off the ledge of feeling a lot of things and not being able to process them well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
and then we
that's
drifted
how
apart
this
and
all
came
of
back
this
together.
started a very long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And that's another thing to like remember too. Like if someone's really like, you might have people who might not get what you're going through right now and might separate from you because they just don't understand, or they're dealing with their own stuff and they are not open to, you know, like being able to receive anything from anybody else yet. But anybody who's able to take that journey on and can appreciate the journey that you've taken, once they're able to go through their own journey, if you're meant to do something together, if you're meant to be together, you guys will stay friends.
Right, because me and Brittany drifted apart.
Maria and I are perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a perfect example of that. We weren't really close and didn't really talk to each other for like what, 5 years?
5 years of our lives. Yeah, even though we were together from like 4th grade to like end of high school.
Yeah.
And then shit happened, and then we came back together, so we're all good. So things like that.
It's gonna be very excited to see like being able to know where you are at the start of this journey and see where you are able to go in the future, and the people you're able to help. Because that's like I know you don't want all the attention on you for it. You want the like it's gonna be a total it's gonna be exemplified in the people that you help and the people that join you in the fight for this project. So this is very exciting. When you do stuff, if you need, I don't know, whatever you need, literally, I can't say it enough. Let us know how we can help you.
Yeah, we can be your marketing, like advertising team if you need.
Yeah, I'm all on it.
I'm all sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten unfortunately very, very used to having to do all of that stuff. So we will help you however we can. Can you just say your website and how people can find you on social media one more time? Because we want to make sure that everyone knows where to find you.
Yeah, so the website is mentalstruggles.com, and the Instagram account is mental.struggle.awareness.
Cool. And that will be in the link in the bio for everyone listening and watching.
I want to ask you one more question, and I want you to, however long you need to think about it, I want you to think about it. If there was one like piece of advice or one lesson that you've learned that you wish that other people could take from like listening to this conversation today, what do you think it would be?
I think when you're going through a really hard time and you feel like everything's just going downhill and nothing can go right and you don't see the light at like the end, and you don't think that anything good can happen, just know that like your feelings are temporary and what is happening right now is temporary, and you'll have a better future, and everything that you're going through right now, like although it may seem so terrible, there'll be so much in the future that'll be so amazing.
There's nothing else for me to say after that. That was the summation.
I don't know what else to say after that, because like I wish I had that advice when I was 13.
Right. We have nothing else to say. Please go check out Mental Struggles Awareness and the project and join in and reach out and know, like Maria and I say this so often, you're not alone. And finding a community as a teenager, the sooner you can find that community to help you through, the better off you will be in the long run. So it's great that you're trying to build a community and people are going to be in such good hands having like your support. So thank you for coming on here. I can't wait to see you. And wait, are you going to be there in a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I can't
Great.
wait to see you in a couple of weeks. And we appreciate that you coming on. And we're excited to get to spread the message about what you're doing with your project.
Yeah, this is great, honestly.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And come back anytime.
Of course. Yes. And if you, yes, whoever you want to bring on and whatever other advocacy you want to do, Maria and I are all for it.
Yep. 100%.
Keep me posted too on if you do actually have events that you're holding or things like that, like share them with me and I can share them through this as well. And just get the word on that they have support to go to.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you.
Enjoy being outside. And I will see you very soon.
Bye.